Lily Evans nearly dropped her tray of champagne when the yacht lurched unexpectedly, sending her stumbling into a group of guests who barely noticed her existence. This wasn't how she had planned to spend her Friday night, but the extra cash from this premium catering gig would cover the rent she was already late on. "Steady there," a deep voice murmured, a strong hand catching her elbow before the expensive champagne could create a disaster. Lily looked up to thank her savior and momentarily lost her words. The man before her had the kind of features that belonged on magazine covers: chiseled jawline, expressive hazel eyes, and an easy smile that transformed his serious face into something approachable. "Thank you," she finally managed, straightening her uniform, a crisp white button-down and black slacks that the catering company insisted was yacht-appropriate. "That could have been a very expensive spill." "And a waste of good champagne," he replied, plucking a flute from her tray with elegance that spoke of someone comfortable in luxury. "I'm Ethan. Lily, but I should keep circulating before my boss notices I'm chatting instead of serving." She gestured with her tray toward the stern where her supervisor was already giving her the evil eye. "Of course." He nodded, but his eyes lingered on hers a moment longer than necessary. "Perhaps I'll see you around, on a yacht this size, inevitable." She offered a professional smile before disappearing into the crowd of Miami's elite. What Lily didn't know was that Ethan Carter wasn't just another guest in an expensive suit. He owned the suit, the yacht, and the shipping company that had made him a fortune before his 32nd birthday. Ethan watched her weave through the crowd with practiced efficiency. There was something refreshing about her, the way she carried herself with dignity despite the obvious power imbalance of service staff among the wealthy. Her smile, though clearly part of her job, had reached her eyes when she looked at him. 3 hours into the party, Lily's feet were screaming in protest. The yacht, while spectacular, was not designed with the service staff in mind. She'd been up and down narrow staircases, balancing trays in high heels, all while maintaining a pleasant demeanor. "Water break," her coworker Maya whispered, nudging her toward the small staff area at the rear of the kitchen. "You look like you're about to collapse." "These people can drink," Lily sighed, slipping off her shoes for a blessed moment. "And the man in charge of refills called in sick, so I'm doing double duty." "The money's good, though," Maya reminded her. "One night of this pays better than a week at the cafe." Lily nodded, thinking of her studio apartment with its leaky faucet and the art supplies crammed into every corner. She was 3 credits away from her fine arts degree, working 2 jobs to make it happen. This yacht party was a means to an end, nothing more. "Break's over, ladies," their supervisor announced. "Evans, take these hors d'oeuvres to the upper deck. The owner requested a private selection." Lily slipped her aching feet back into her shoes and took the tray. The upper deck was quieter, with just a handful of people engaged in what appeared to be a business discussion. She recognized Ethan immediately, standing slightly apart, looking out at the Miami skyline. "Your hors d'oeuvres, sir," she said professionally as she approached. Ethan turned and his face brightened with recognition. "Ah, Lily, I was hoping I'd see you again." She placed the tray on the table near him. "Enjoying your evening more now," he said with a warmth that seemed too genuine for the setting. "These business discussions can be tedious." "I imagine yacht parties are a terrible burden," she teased before she could stop herself. Instead of offense, Ethan laughed, a genuine sound that made several heads turn their way. "Terribly burdensome. Especially when I'd rather be having an actual conversation with the most interesting person on board." Lily felt heat rise to her cheeks. "I should get back to work." "Wait," he said quickly. "When does your shift end?" "When the party ends. That's how catering works. And after." His question hung between them, loaded with potential. "After I go home to my very un-yacht-like apartment and sleep for about 12 hours before my morning shift at the cafe." Ethan nodded, looking thoughtful. "Would you consider, Carter?" A loud voice interrupted. "We need your input on this deal before Thompson leaves." Ethan's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "I have to go, but this conversation isn't over, Lily Evans." She watched him rejoin the group of businessmen, wondering how he knew her last name before remembering her mandatory name tag. She returned to the main deck, pushing aside the strange flutter in her chest. Men like Ethan flirted with the help all the time it meant nothing. The party began to wind down around midnight, with guests departing in small groups via the boats that had been shuttling between the yacht and shore all night. Lily was clearing glasses from the main salon when she realized the vessel had gone suspiciously quiet. "We're heading back to port," Meyer informed her, arms full of table linens. "Most of the guests have left, just the owner and a few others staying aboard overnight." "The owner?" Lily asked, curious despite herself. "Ethan Carter," Maya whispered with wide eyes. "The shipping magnate." "This is his personal yacht, didn't you know?" Lily nearly dropped the glasses she was holding. "No, I did not know that." "Well, don't look so shocked. What did you think this was, a rental?" Maya laughed. "I don't exactly keep track of Miami's billionaires," Lily defended herself, though her mind was racing. Ethan, the man who had caught her arm, who had flirted with her, owned this floating mansion. She finished her cleanup duties in a daze, trying to process this information. As the catering staff gathered their equipment, preparing to disembark once they reached the marina, Lily felt someone watching her. She turned to find Ethan standing in the doorway of the salon. "Could I speak with you a moment?" he asked, his tone making it clear this was a request, not an order. Lily glanced at her supervisor, who gave a subtle nod, apparently saying no to the man signing the checks wasn't an option. She followed Ethan to a quieter corner of the deck. The Miami night warm around them, the city lights drawing closer as they approached the marina. "I wanted to apologize for the interruption earlier," he said. "No apology necessary. You were working, so was I." "Yes, about that." He seemed uncharacteristically hesitant. "I'd like to see you again, Lily, not as someone serving drinks at my party, but as yourself." She blinked, caught off guard by his directness. "Mr. Carter, Ethan, please." "Ethan," she corrected. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. I don't." "I'm asking you to dinner," he clarified with a gentle smile. "Nothing more complicated than that." Lily studied him, trying to determine his angle. "Why?" "Because you're the only person at this entire party who didn't know or care who I was, and that's refreshing. Because you have a smile that's genuine in a world where I'm surrounded by fakery, because I'd like to know more about you." His honesty was disarming. "I'm an art student who works 2 jobs to make rent. We don't exactly run in the same circles. Maybe that's exactly why I'm interested." He pulled out a business card and handed it to her. "My personal number is on the back. Think about it, no pressure." The yacht was docking now, and she could see the catering van waiting on the pier. "I should go," Ethan nodded, respecting her boundaries. "Good night, Lily Evans. I hope to hear from you." She slipped the card into her pocket and rejoined her coworkers, feeling his eyes on her back as she disembarked. The night air felt different somehow, charged with possibility. 3 days passed before Lily looked at the card again. She'd been busy with shifts at the cafe, a major art project deadline, and the everyday chaos of life. But on Tuesday evening, sitting in her tiny apartment with a cup of tea, she found herself turning the heavy cardstock over in her hands. Ethan Carter, CEO, Carter Global Shipping. The embossed letters felt expensive beneath her fingertips. On the back, a phone number was written in a strong, confident hand. "This is ridiculous," she told her empty apartment. Men like Ethan Carter didn't seriously pursue women like her. This was probably just a game to him, the billionaire and the waitress, a temporary amusement. Yet something about his directness, the way he had looked at her like she was fascinating rather than just decorative, made her hesitate before dismissing the idea entirely. She picked up her phone and typed a message before she could overthink it. "This is Lily from the yacht party. Still interested in that dinner?" The response came faster than she expected. "Very much so. Tomorrow night I can send a car." Lily frowned at the offer. "I can meet you somewhere." "I'm not comfortable with cars being sent for me." "Fair enough. How about Riviera at 8? It's in South Beach." She knew of the restaurant. It was well out of her price range, but not ostentatiously exclusive. A reasonable compromise. "See you there." She put down her phone, heart racing with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. What did one wear to dinner with a billionaire? What would they even talk about? This was madness. Yet the next evening found her standing outside Riviera in a simple emerald dress that brought out her eyes, her auburn hair falling in loose waves around her shoulders. She'd almost talked herself out of coming 3 times, but curiosity had won out over caution. Ethan was waiting outside rather than at a table, a gesture she appreciated for its lack of pretension. He wore a tailored suit that probably cost more than her semester's tuition, but his warm smile made her nervousness fade slightly. "You came," he said, sounding genuinely pleased. "I came," she confirmed, "though I'm still not entirely sure why I'm here. To eat excellent food and have conversation that doesn't involve drink orders or business proposals," he suggested, offering his arm. "Shall we?" The restaurant was elegant without being intimidating, and their table offered a view of the ocean. Lily had expected to feel out of place, but Ethan had a way of making her feel like they were just 2 normal people getting to know each other. "So, art student," he said after they'd ordered. "What's your specialty?" "Mixed media and painting, mostly. I'm fascinated by urban landscapes, finding beauty in unexpected places." "I'd love to see your work sometime." "It's nothing special," she demurred. "I doubt that very much," he countered. "People who work as hard as you do usually have passion driving them." "What about you?" she asked, turning the conversation. "How does one become a shipping magnate before age?" She paused, realizing she didn't know. 32, he supplied. "And the answer is part inheritance, part innovation. My father built the company, but it was struggling when I took over after his death. I saw potential in modernizing our approach to global logistics." "That sounds very boring," he suggested with a self-deprecating smile. "I was going to say impressive, but yes, a little boring," she admitted, making him laugh. Dinner progressed with surprising ease. Ethan was thoughtful and attentive, asking questions about her art and studies with genuine interest. He told stories about growing up as the son of a workaholic, about the pressure to succeed and his own drive to prove himself beyond his father's legacy. "The yacht must be a perk," she commented over dessert. "It was actually my one concession to luxury," he admitted. "Most of my wealth goes back into the business or various foundations, but after a particularly difficult year, my CFO insisted I needed to occasionally remember what I was working for." "And what are you working for, Ethan Carter?" He considered her question seriously. "Initially, to prove I could surpass my father's success. Now, to make a difference in the industry, to create something meaningful." He paused. "But lately I've been wondering if I've missed something important along the way." "Like what?" "A real life, connections that matter beyond business." His eyes met hers across the table. "People who see me, not my bank account." The vulnerability in his admission caught her off guard. This was not the entitled playboy she had expected. As they left the restaurant, Lily found herself reluctant for the evening to end. They walked along the beach promenade, their conversation flowing naturally from art to books to childhood memories. "Can I see you again?" Ethan asked as they reached the point where they would part ways, he to his driver waiting nearby, she to her modest car in the public lot. "I'd like that," she said honestly. "But Ethan, I need to be clear, I'm not interested in being anyone's novelty or charity project. I have a life plan, and it doesn't include being a billionaire's temporary distraction." "I understand," he said seriously, "and I respect that. All I'm asking for is the chance to know you better, no expectations attached." She studied his face, looking for signs of insincerity but finding none. "Okay, but next time I choose the place, somewhere more my speed," he smiled, clearly pleased. "I look forward to it." Their second date was at a hole-in-the-wall Cuban restaurant near Lily's apartment, where the food was magnificent and the ambience decidedly un-yacht-like. Ethan fit in surprisingly well, charming the elderly owner and revealing a decent grasp of Spanish that he attributed to years of international business. Their third date was a gallery opening for one of Lily's professors, where Ethan showed genuine appreciation for the art and asked insightful questions. He purchased a piece that had caught Lily's attention, not to impress her, but because her passionate description of its technical merits had genuinely interested him. By their sixth date, Lily had to admit to herself that what was happening between them was more than a fleeting attraction. Ethan had proven himself thoughtful, intelligent, and refreshingly genuine. He respected her independence, never pushing or trying to rescue her from her working-class life. "You know," she told him one evening as they walked through a local park after sharing pizza from her favorite neighborhood spot, "you're nothing like what I expected." "Is that good or bad?" he asked, his hand warm around hers. "Good, definitely good." She leaned into him slightly. "I expected arrogance and entitlement. You're grounded. My father made sure I worked every position in the company, starting from the loading docks," he explained. "Best lesson he ever taught me was that every job has dignity and every person deserves respect." Wise man. He was, in some ways. Ethan paused near a fountain, its lights creating dancing patterns on the water. "My biggest regret is that he worked himself into an early grave, all that success, and he never took time to really live. Is that why you work so hard, trying to complete what he started?" Ethan looked thoughtful, maybe at first, but lately I've been reevaluating my priorities. "Because of me?" she asked, half joking. "Partly," he admitted. "You've reminded me that there's more to life than quarterly reports and expansion strategies." Their relationship deepened over the following months. Lily finished her degree and landed a position at a small gallery while continuing to create her own art in her free time. Ethan supported her career without trying to finance it, understanding that her independence was central to who she was. There were challenges, of course. Ethan's world occasionally collided with hers in ways that highlighted their different backgrounds. At a charity gala where he was being honored for his foundation's work, Lily overheard two women questioning what he saw in that ordinary girl. "Money can buy better arm candy than that," one had sniffed, unaware that Lily was within earshot. The comment had stung, but Ethan's reaction when she told him later that night had cemented her feelings for him. Instead of dismissing her hurt or making empty reassurances, he had looked genuinely angry on her behalf. "Their opinion means nothing," he had said firmly. "You are extraordinary, Lily Evans. Your talent, your compassion, your determination, those women couldn't begin to understand the depths you contain." 6 months into their relationship, Ethan invited Lily to join him for a weekend on the yacht, the very place they had met. She had been hesitant at first, the memory of herself serving drinks there still fresh. "I want new memories there," he explained. "Just us, no party, no staff hovering. I'll even cook." "You can cook?" she asked skeptically. "I said I'd cook. I didn't promise it would be edible." His playful grin was irresistible. The yacht looked different without the crowd and the formal setup more like an actual home. Ethan had indeed cooked, with results that were surprisingly decent for a man who admitted he rarely had time to use his own kitchen. After dinner, they sat on the upper deck, watching the stars above the dark water. The Miami skyline glittered in the distance, but they were far enough out to feel the peaceful isolation of being at sea. "Do you remember what you thought when we first met?" Ethan asked, his arm around her as they reclined on a comfortable lounge. "I thought you were just another rich guy at a fancy party," she admitted. "Though I did notice you were exceptionally handsome," he chuckled. "I thought you were the most genuine person I'd seen in years." "When you almost spilled that champagne and didn't immediately panic about ruining my suit or apologize profusely, you just laughed at yourself. It was refreshing." "If I'd known whose suit it was, I might have panicked more," she teased. "That's exactly it. You treated me like a person, not a balance sheet." He shifted to face her more directly. "Lily, these past months have been the happiest of my life." There was something in his tone that made her heart quicken. "Mine too," she said softly. "I've been thinking about what matters most in life. Success means nothing if you have no one to share it with. My father taught me that unintentionally he had everything except time for real connections." Ethan took her hand, his expression serious but tender. "I don't want to make his mistakes. I want a balanced life, one with purpose and love." "Ethan, let me finish," he said gently. "I'm not proposing, not yet, that would be rushing things, but I want you to know that's where I see this heading. I'm in love with you, Lily Evans, and I want to build something real with you. She felt tears prick her eyes. I love you too, and I appreciate that you're not rushing with a proposal. We still have things to figure out. Like what? He asked, genuinely curious. Like the fact that I'm just starting my career and I need to establish myself on my own merits. Like the fact that our worlds are still very different in many ways. All navigable issues, he said with the confidence of a man used to solving complex problems. I would never want to diminish your independence or your career. It's part of what I love about you. She leaned in to kiss him, feeling the certainty of their connection. Then we'll figure it out together. The next year brought changes for both of them. Lily's work began gaining recognition in the art community with a small but successful solo show at the gallery where she worked. Ethan restructured his company to allow himself more personal time while maintaining its success, proving that his father's all-or-nothing approach wasn't the only path. They moved in together after 15 months of dating a compromise between her apartment, which was too small, and his waterfront penthouse, which felt too removed from reality. Their new home was a spacious loft in an arts district, with plenty of natural light for Lily's studio space and a home office for Ethan when he needed to work remotely. On their one-year anniversary of meeting, Ethan suggested a return to the yacht where it all began. This time, Lily boarded not as staff but as his partner, climbing the same steps she had once navigated with trays of champagne. Strange to be back here, she commented as they stood on the main deck. Good strange, though. I have something to show you, Ethan said, leading her to the salon. The large space had been transformed. Hanging on the walls were several of Lily's paintings pieces she had created over the past year, including some she had sold to galleries. How did you? I bought them, he explained, through proper channels at full asking price. Your gallery manager was very helpful in keeping it a secret. She walked around the space, amazed to see her work displayed with such care and prominence. This is incredible. There's one more thing. Ethan gestured to a covered canvas in the center of the room. This one isn't yours. Curious, Lily approached and lifted the cloth. Beneath was a beautifully rendered painting of the yacht at sunset, with two figures on the deck, one in service uniform, the other in a suit, the moment they first met captured with remarkable skill. Who painted this? She asked, moved by the sentiment and the quality of the work. A very talented artist I commissioned. He worked from photos and my description. Ethan came to stand beside her. That moment changed my life, Lily. She turned to find him on one knee, a small velvet box in his hand. Her breath caught. Lily Evans, from the moment you nearly spilled champagne on my favorite suit, you've brought joy, authenticity, and balance to my life. I love your passion, your talent, your determination, and your heart. Will you marry me? The ring was perfect, not ostentatiously large as she might have expected from a billionaire, but a unique vintage emerald that echoed the color of her eyes, set in platinum with small diamonds. Yes, she whispered, tears of happiness flowing freely now. Yes, I will marry you, Ethan Carter. He slipped the ring on her finger and stood to kiss her, both of them laughing and crying at once. As they embraced on the yacht where their unlikely story began, Lily reflected on how wrong her first impressions had been. Ethan wasn't just a wealthy CEO, he was a man with depth, compassion, and values that aligned with her own. And she wasn't just a server at a party, she was an artist, a partner, and now, his fiancée. Their wedding took place 6 months later, an intimate affair that blended their worlds without ostentation. Lily's gallery colleagues mingled with Ethan's business associates, finding more common ground than anyone might have expected. Maya, who had witnessed their first meeting, served as maid of honor. I knew something was happening that night, she told the small gathering during her toast. The way he looked at you like he'd found something precious in the most unexpected place. 2 years into their marriage, Lily's art career flourished with international recognition. Ethan's company continued to thrive under his more balanced leadership style. They established a foundation supporting arts education in underprivileged communities, a perfect blend of their passions. And when their daughter Emma was born, they brought her home to the loft filled with Lily's paintings, and the commissioned piece from Ethan's proposal hanging in a place of honor. Do you ever regret it? Ethan asked one evening as they stood on their balcony, watching the sunset with Emma sleeping peacefully in his arms. Marrying the guy whose party you were working? Lily smiled, leaning into his side. Not for a second, though I do think about how close we came to never meeting. If I hadn't taken that extra shift, if you hadn't been looking in my direction when I stumbled, I'd have found you somehow, he said with conviction. Some connections are inevitable. She looked up at him, still handsome as the day they met, but now with laugh lines at the corners of his eyes, evidence of the joy they'd built together. You know what I'm grateful for? She asked. That you saw past the uniform to the person serving the drinks. And I'm grateful that you saw past the yacht to the man who owned it, he countered. We both looked beyond appearances. As the Miami sky turned from gold to deep blue, Lily reflected on their journey from a chance encounter on a yacht to the family they'd created, the balance they'd found between ambition and connection, wealth and authenticity. Some might have called it a fairy tale, but Lily knew better. It wasn't about a waitress meeting a prince, it was about two people recognizing something genuine in each other amid the artifice that often surrounded them. And that, she thought, as Ethan pressed a kiss to her temple, was worth more than all the yachts in the world.